On this edition of Around BCC, we move our spotlight this month to the happenings at BCC's Attleboro Center. We talk to a member of BCC's faculty who spends most of her time in Attleboro. Adult students working on their GED experience college for a day, and our student interns profile a new class at the college's fitness center. Welcome to Around BCC. I'm Keith Tebow. We are in the month of April. Warmer weather, I assure you, is ahead for us here in Bristol County and the service area of Bristol Community College. For the second straight month, we're hitting the road. Last month, we had the opportunity to talk to the people who are really making a difference at New Bedford's campus of Bristol Community College. Today, we head to the northern part of Bristol County as we are again visiting with our good friends at the Attleboro Center. And joining me for our first segment of the show is the Dean of Attleboro and Taunton, Rodney Clark. And also, we're joined by a student here at Attleboro, Fred Issa. Thank you both for joining us and welcoming us back to Attleboro.
Absolutely.
Rodney, it's what, third, fourth year here as Dean?
Oh goodness, I'll be finishing my third year in the summer, yeah.
What's it been like for you in terms of 3 years and how you've seen this center grow?
I think that one of the things I've learned is that how important it is and it's probably a common sense thing, but yet this matter of across the campus collaboration, that has really served us well. I mean, I oversee what happens here in Attleboro, but not without the collaboration and the teamwork afforded by people in information technology and certainly in academic affairs and facilities and administration, and certainly enrollment services as well. So it's all of that coming together to help to serve our students well. One of the things that we've learned too is that a lot of students who study here in Attleboro, they also taking classes at the Fall River campus. So in terms of the types of student services and information dissemination, the way we do that, it's really critical.
Yeah, even though there's distance, there is sort of a seamless nature of how everything works.
Absolutely.
And it's worked well. All right, talk about, ever since Attleboro, the BCC established a center here in Attleboro. It was one of those, President Sprague always said, if we build it, they will come, and they definitely have continued to come here. How's the enrollment look here in Attleboro, and is it still been pretty consistent and pretty strong?
It is. It's continuing to grow, and that's one of the reasons why we've really tried to figure out what is the best types of academic programs and courses to offer here in Attleboro. Obviously, it'll be very similar to what's taking place in Fall River and perhaps to a lesser extent in New Bedford, but we're trying to figure out what resonates the most here. And so that's why we have to have real close contact with our business partners and those who work in various social service agencies and the government and certainly educational entities. And we're trying to make sure that we have that type of open communication to make sure that what we do and what we offer makes the most sense for the greater Attleboro area.
And that's always an ongoing conversation.
It is, it really is.
And one of the things that I think is important, even though Attleboro is part of Bristol County, part of BCC's footprint, if you will, there are some differences between the industries that are in northern Bristol County and what we see in the larger cities of New Bedford and Fall River. And how have you seen that in terms of devising, an academic, slate of programs here, that there is a difference?
Well, a couple of observations. I mean, certainly it's remarkable for me to see this, and that is that regardless of how old a student is, they can be terribly busy with work and family and other types of responsibilities. So the manner of which that we offer classes and, when we offer those courses, it really does matter a lot. In terms of the specifics of this area, it's really interesting, and I think part of it is the fact that we have the MBTA's commuter rail line that serves not that far from here.
Right.
And so students are a little bit more mobile in terms of where they work, maybe north of here, heading toward the Boston area, or even south, going into Rhode Island. And that plays an impact on when they're available to take classes. And so that kind of recognition has really helped us to serve this area really, really well.
Now, there's still a number of programs that students in this area can come to BCC and get a full degree without needing to go to Fall River.
Absolutely.
And those have those grown at all, or are we still status quo with some of those same
We're
programs?
still pretty much the same types of program
Right.
offerings. We really haven't changed much with that, but it's a kind of an internal discussion that we're always having to find out what works best. So when I go to different types of community meetings, I'm always trying to pay attention to that and ask those kinds of questions to find out, what do industry leaders call for? What are they hearing? What are they not hearing? How should we be positioning ourselves, not just so much for the work needs like right now, but also trying to think ahead about, well, where are things going 5 years from now? How would we put ourselves in the best position for that?
And physically located here in they consider the old Texas Instrument complex here in Attleboro. I remember when BCC opened up its center in Attleboro at the old high school, was it, up the street, that, you know, space was an issue. And I remember one of the first few months that BCC moved here, again, the popularity of being here, space is an issue. How has that worked out? And I guess, are there any plans to maybe even expand further?
Well, we are. We're having some discussions about that even right now, trying to figure out how can we expand and what direction should we expand. So we're having some of those kinds of discussions. We're trying to maximize our course offerings here. One of the things that really helped us, it's a small thing, but yet it was significant. The end of last summer, we were able to create another classroom here in the center. We had a very large computer center that we were able to essentially cut in half and make one half of it as a general purpose classroom and still use the other half as a slightly smaller computer center. And that's really worked well. And actually, the enrollment capacity for that computer center, it's very consistent with what is at the college and other offerings here as well.
Something that's also important is making Attleboro really a full-service center with enrollment opportunities, library, right, full-service library, and the support services that are needed for students who come here. A lot of times, and we've talked about this in the past, where there are satellite locations of some higher educational institutions that may have only bits and pieces of some of that. But I know BCC's worked hard in making Attleboro and New Bedford as well to be full service. And that's probably helped with enrollment and bringing people in.
Well, it really has, because one of the things that's really helpful to us is that the reality that we have professional and administrative support staff here 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. There's always someone here for them to talk to. And during the other the main 5 days of the week, Monday through Friday, we have people here from admissions and financial aid, and we have a full-time librarian and disability services. I mean, all sorts of things take place here that allow a student to start and finish their enrollment process right here in Attleboro.
We'll get back to Rodney. I want to talk to Fred. Fred is here for a reason. Fred, you are, and this term is thrown around a lot, you're a non-traditional student. People think of traditional college students as a little bit younger.
Significantly.
Tell us your story. What got you back into school here at BCC?
Well, I was working here in Attleboro for a company, and everything was fine, making a good salary, and the company wasn't doing as well financially due to foreign competition. Consequently, they shut down shop, laid off 300 people initially, and they went back to the United Kingdom. Found myself at 63 without a job, and since the 2008 economic meltdown, I found that in order for me to sustain myself in my field, which is logistics, supply chain, import, export, I found that a degree was required. And unfortunately, for 46 years, I had worked my way up in the industry without any degree.
You didn't need it. You had
Didn't
the
need it.
experience, and it helped you in that respect.
Absolutely. So what occurred was it became very apparent to me when I got a job almost immediately with a great company in Framingham, and I was working with people with a degree but no practical experience. What then occurred was after 5 weeks, I was called in and asked, did I have a degree? And I said, no, I'm here specifically with the program that I'm working with degree students, but that have no hands-on experience.
Right.
Consequently, I was told without a degree I couldn't work there. So went back to my counselor at the Attleboro Department of Labor and Training and told her that I no longer had a job after 5 weeks. And she said, well, what was the reason? And I explained it. She verified it. And she said, well, that's good news. And I said, I'm 63. I have no degree. How can that possibly be good news? She said, because we have a federal program that you meet the 2 criteria. Criteria number 1 is laid off, unable to get a job due to lack of degree or certification, and that you lost your job as a direct result of foreign competition. And having met those 2 criteria, I was allowed to participate in a federal program called TRA. So at 63, 40 years after I had dropped out of college, I'm back in school, and I will be graduating May 31st with an associate's degree in business administration with a major in general management.
Now let me ask you, when you said you had some college experience.
Correct. I went to my company that I had worked for was putting me through college at Bryant University.
Mm-hmm.
At the time it was a college.
Right.
This is back in 68 through 74 with an interruption in the middle.
Right.
And in 74, some financial issues, some marital issues, and had to drop out and take a second job. So when I graduate, it'll be getting my associates 40 years later.
Mm. And I'm sure all those years working in the field you were in, and even when you got this new job after being laid off, you probably thought, hey, I had the experience, you know, not necessarily the education, but the experience is very important in this day and age, and you probably didn't even think twice about going back to school.
No, not after 46 years of experience in my field. My biggest fear was not fitting in,
Right.
being 2 subsequent generations later, and the opposite was true, but BCC is a wonderful place for traditional students, non-traditional students, veterans. There's so many support services. There's tutoring, there's the writing center, there's advisement. I've got 3 advisors. I have 1 here, 1 in Fall River where I take classes, and I also have 1 appointed to me by the Department of Labor and Training,
Mm-hmm.
who monitors my program.
Mm-hmm. Now you said you're graduating with your associates in May this year.
Yes, sir.
Are you hoping to go forward?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to
Continuing
Bryant, which is a university
Right.
now. It's no longer a college.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to do over, I would have come here first.
Mm.
Not only because of the cost, like currently it's about significantly less here. My advice is for people that are not really sure where they want to be, but they know they need a degree to get by in life, to come here, save some money, develop your study skills, to really determine where you want to be and what your field is, where your interest lies, and then go to a traditional 4-year university after you spend 2 years here.
And what about people who may be a little afraid to come back after 40 plus years?
The only thing to fear is fear itself.
Right.
And my fears were totally unfounded. When I came here, it's this school, BCC, is more like a family, as opposed, it has smaller classes. It has professors, you know them by their first name. It's more laid back. It's still academically challenging, and especially coming back after 40 years.
Right.
But they make you feel at home. Everything's under, they call you by your first name. The classes are small. The professors are wonderful. We have 2 professors here from Harvard.
Mm.
They're all expert in their field. Accounting, the professor for accounting has been doing it for like 35 years in industry. The management are all from Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
So they've come here and they've dedicated their lives to teaching students.
And you've also been a student leader. You're on the Student Senate, and you're also a student ambassador.
Yes,
What-
sir, I am.
How'd you come about taking that course?
I'm not sure if it's because I was here so much they felt they had to give it to me.
Hey, you've been here a lot. I'll give you some extra work, right?
I spend a lot of time here because obviously I have to study harder than the average
Yeah.
student. And I spend a lot of time here and I get involved in a lot of things. I help
Right.
other students. And I was called in one day by the director, Joe Yasayan, and said, how would you like to be a student ambassador And I said, well, what does that entail? And he explained it. I said, yeah, I would like to get more involved in the student government. And several months later, our student Senate representative from Attleboro stepped down, and then they asked me would I, since I guess I passed being a student ambassador, I graduated to a student senate,
yeah.
which is normally voted upon.
Yeah.
And I've been having a good time in student government and having a say in the events at the college.
Yeah, definitely a role model. Good luck, Fred. I appreciate
At 65, thank you.
it. Good for you. Rodney, just a couple of quick things to tie up. We actually, you're making your second appearance on the show this year. We were initially in Taunton to talk about the day classes that were offered beginning this spring at the Kohanet School. How's that going?
Very well for us. In fact, one of the things that we're doing for the first time in Taunton is we're offering summertime classes
Oh, good.
at the Kohanet School. So we'll be doing some daytime classes during summer session 1 and some evening classes during summer session 2 in Taunton at the Kohanet.
Oh, good. So Attleboro and Taunton as strong as ever, and we hope to continue that. Rodney and Fred, we appreciate your time. Good luck, Fred, with your educational pursuits in the future. We appreciate it. And Rodney, thank you again for joining us. We'll be back with more of Around BCC right after this. Welcome back. BCC is a leader in providing opportunities for learners who wish to return to school. The college recently held an event to introduce these students to what it's like to experience college for a day. Over 150 students enrolled in regional adult basic education programs congregated at BCC last month to get a flavor of college life as part of BCC's College for a Day program. Students were able to sample college courses while also hearing from other adult students who have succeeded in returning to school. Organizer Joan Ford says this program often convinces students to continue with their education after they receive their GED.
We do a survey afterwards, and last year we asked a couple of questions, one of which was, did they believe that they would go to college prior to coming here today? I would say about maybe 75% of the students thought maybe, probably. By the end, it was like it was about 99% of the students really felt that maybe this really was a next step for them. So often when students enroll in the adult basic ed programs, they enroll simply to get that diploma, and they don't even think beyond that. And this gives them an opportunity to realize that's only a piece of the path, and that college courses or certificate programs are the next step.
Christina Shane was at last year's College for a Day program. The single mother decided to return to school last year and earned her GED over a 6-month period. She's now enrolled at BCC studying computer forensics and says despite the anxieties of returning to school, adult learners should not be fearful of taking that next step back to college.
You don't have anything to lose. You know, when you don't have the high school degree or you don't have the college degree, you're kind of stuck. You really can't go up from that position, you can only go down. So you really have nothing to lose to take that extra step into college to see what you're capable of, to see how much more that you can do. You can secure your future or you can just let it happen. And I prefer to watch people, or at least help people, try to secure it, make something of it. It's still yours, you know, you own it. So you have nothing to lose to at least try college and see what you can come out of it.
Shane says BCC is best suited in providing those looking for work with the educational opportunities to improve their prospects of getting hired. We have the pleasure of welcoming 2 new student interns to our Around the BCC crew this spring semester, and they've produced the latest installment of Student to Student, which takes a look at a new fitness class being offered to students, faculty, and staff.
Some new sounds are coming from the fitness center on the Fall River campus.
H, B, Sun, She, No, Ha, Right,
Shotokan Karate Do is a new fitness course this spring, meeting every Wednesday for 1 hour beginning at 5 p.m. The course is taught by Kevin Vidinha, a second-degree black belt who has practiced karate for 8 years.
It started at New Bedford Voc Tech. I started as a sophomore, my sophomore year, and ever since my first class, I loved it. I couldn't wait to show everybody what I've learned and what I could do, and it was from that very day I knew this is what I wanted to do.
In this course, students will learn the basics, or kion, patterns of moves and forms known as kata, and self-defense techniques. The goal is to have students ready to earn their yellow belt.
And I squeeze. I always tell them when they come in, I expect the very best from you. If they can't give me 10 push-ups, that's fine. I don't want you to kill yourself if you can't do 10 push-ups. But if you stay with me for at least 6 months to a year, I expect more from you. I expect you to get better, and I want to see progression.
The karate course has already attracted a handful of students, both experienced and non-experienced in martial arts.
When I was younger, I took karate. It was a different kind of karate, but it was pretty much generally the same thing, so I kind of wanted to get back into it.
My parents weren't so gung-ho about martial arts, but I grew up watching a lot of TV about martial arts, so basically I had an interest. It was just put on hold.
Karate has proven to be a major confidence booster for both the students and this instructor, who hopes to one day open his own dojo.
It's built my confidence level a lot. I was a shy, meek person. I wasn't very strong. I was very, very skinny. I'm still skinny, but I've packed on muscle. Okay. It's my life. I train in this for at least 2 to 3 hours a day, every day. There's not one day I skip out on training. If I do, it's because I have had a very, very busy day, but it normally doesn't happen.
Students, faculty, and alumni are invited to enroll in this course and can do so by contacting fitness coordinator Diane Hamill at 508-678-2811, extension 2517. Kevin Vadina can also be reached via email at karatekevin67@gmail.com, and he can also be found on Facebook. For Around BCC, I'm Ethan Lopez.
The third season of BCC's co-ed tennis program gets underway this month, and with it comes fresh faces and elevated expectations. Phil Petrangelo enters his second season as head coach of the Bees tennis team. The team was winless in 2013 and enters 2014 with a roster made up of entirely new players. Petrangelo says he has some experienced high school players on the team and is hopeful the program will begin to gain regional recognition.
It's still a challenge just because of the awareness of the team. I mean, we're the only spring sport. But a lot of students are still unaware that tennis even exists. So getting the word out there, getting recognition on campus, but also talking to local coaches just to let their players know, hey, if you're going to go to BCC or if you're interested in playing tennis, BCC does have a team where you can continue playing.
The tennis team plays its home matches at the courts located at BCC's Fall River campus. For a schedule of matches, check out the BCC website. We have another profile of a BCC faculty member. This month, we talked to an English instructor who spends most of her hours at BCC's Attleboro Center.
Hi, I'm Farah Habib, Assistant Professor of English. I grew up in multiple places, lived in England and then moved to Texas and here in New England. But I think over those years I was developing an interest in writing. I wrote for my high school paper, and when it came time for me to decide what to do in college, it was my father who encouraged me to pursue something to do with writing, because even when I was a child he used to encourage me a lot. I used to write letters to him because he lived abroad for his work, and that's when he sort of instilled this confidence in me to pursue writing as a career, or have writing a part of my career. Because I went to high school in Rhode Island, it was just natural that I would go to University of Rhode Island because it wasn't that far from home. Got my bachelor's degree in journalism, from URI, and then I actually got my master's from URI as well because they gave me a grant for multicultural students. They were looking for minority students, and I fit the qualifications. So I got my master's and my bachelor's both from the same institution. I started doing a teaching assistantship along with my studies, and I enjoyed that. And that's when I started getting into teaching. Came to BCC after my graduate work. I was also teaching at University of Rhode Island on a part-time basis. And it was actually over here at BCC where I really became comfortable in my title or identity as an instructor and then assistant professor. Some of the courses that I teach over here are developmental English and composition. That's like the bulk of the courses that I'm teaching, and I do enjoy those. However, in recent years I've been getting into the teaching of literature, introduction to literature, but something that's closer to my heart, or has become closer to my heart in recent years, is multicultural literature. Thanks to the support of the department, the English department, I was able to revise a course that we were teaching. It used to be called Contemporary American Authors, and then I was able to revise that and to make it a course that's more focused on multicultural literature. And I've been teaching that for a year now, and in that course I teach multicultural authors, Asian American, Jewish American, Chinese, African American. So it allows me to talk about issues of identity, issues of racism and social justice issues that can be seen through the lens of literature. For the sake of sounding corny, if it weren't for my colleagues, I don't think I would be where I am today. They've really helped me grow as a teacher, helped me grow as a person. The English department, everyone I can say is so willing to share their syllabi, ideas. We do a lot of teacher talk in the hallways. I'm having a tough time with this. What do you do? Or I can't believe I wasn't able to do this. What have you been doing? Anytime I find myself stuck, I turn to my colleagues, and they've always been so helpful. Even if they don't have an answer, just talking to them and hearing from them about the way they've dealt with something has helped me a lot. Well, there's a selfish reason to why I enjoy working in Attleboro, and that's because I live very close to Attleboro campus. But that was the reason that I came to work on this campus. However, I have since learned that the students here, especially in my Composition 101, the freshman gateway course that everybody has to take, I have found some of the best students here in Attleboro. The best part about teaching at BCC is getting to do, work with students with writing. Writing is something that I love to do. It's what gets me excited, and I like the idea of trying to instill that passion that I have in my students. They may not go on to be writers, they may not go on to be English majors, but at least they can use writing to feel empowered in some way in whatever field that they decide to go to.
That's all for Around BCC. We leave you with a look at the recent Grimshaw Gudowitz Art Gallery exhibit featuring artists Joan Backus and Todd Moore. I'm Keith Tebow. Thanks for watching.